new best thing, better than you've ever seen. I'm the new best thing, I'm gonna be the king. I bring that ching ching ching. Yeah, I'm the new best thing, I'm the new best thing.
Welcome back. The Hedera Forum has some great guests coming up, and during those episodes we want to stay focused on what each of them brings to the Hedera ecosystem. That said, there haven't been any Hedera Forum or Monetary Reset videos posted recently, and I don't want to ignore the progress made by Hedera, the market action, and news of the past few months. So let's dig in. We are in what appears to be the early months of a crypto bull market. Certainly exciting times, but I'm sure some of you are wondering or even concerned about the underperformance of HBAR. I've covered several reasons why I believe we are seeing some underperformance in Telegram. Though Hedera is a disinflationary currency, in these early years of the network, there are large distributions compared to circulating supply. To counteract this supply, demand needs to be added. Many of us assumed that there would be plenty of catalysts to add to that demand in the latter part of 2020. In early summer, my expectation was we could get 6 additional council members, 3 to 5 enterprise use cases live on the network, which could bring millions of transactions per day, and 2 of the 3 major US exchanges, Coinbase, Kraken, and/or Gemini, listing HBAR. In addition to these core catalysts, I felt as if there would be other announcements that would bolster the price. With FPOS, Entrust, Galaxy, Never Alone, Open Review, updates from the Coupon Bureau, Acor, Toko, Hala, and Hedera Token Service, we certainly got our fair share of news. But without the aforementioned major market movers, it's no surprise that HBAR underperformed what some of us expected. Toko is a big deal, and with the new Hedera Token Service and the addition of Dentons to the council, there are clearly plans for tokenization to be a major theme in the years to come. I think we just thought that the measurable metric of transactions per day on the network to be further impacted by council member use cases at this point. Hedera Token Service is not yet live on the network, so Toko and others using this service will likely take months to show up in transaction volume numbers. Media attention may come sooner, but that may take time as well. The fundamentals and announcements have been great, and I would put the progress Hedera has made in recent months up against any other DLT, but the news hasn't been the kind of market-moving news that overcomes the supply coming to market. There are indications that market-moving news could be coming, and we'll get into that in a bit. But before we do, let's talk a little about where we appear to be in the crypto market cycle, and why that too may be having an impact on the price of the HBAR. Many of you have likely heard me say this in the past, but the similarities between Q4 2016, Q1 2017, and right now 4 years later are striking. We are several months following a Bitcoin halvening, just like 4 years ago, and we are also several months into a Bitcoin bull trend and have recently broken the prior cycle all-time high of approximately $20,000. In the prior cycle, the fresh all-time high had to wait until after the new year, but still pretty spot on. What I think is telling is how some altcoins performed during the early days of the prior bull run. Ethereum was in a downtrend for the first several months of Bitcoin's bull market. I owned a little ETH at the time, and remember being frustrated I hadn't bought more Bitcoin. Sound familiar? XRP was even more of a ball buster. XRP remained in a downtrend and didn't hit a bottom until February 2017. Granted, just a few short weeks later, it caught up quickly, and was the best performing major asset of that cycle. Ethereum far outperformed Bitcoin in 2017 as well. All this is to say that underperformance of a so-called altcoin like HBAR is not overly surprising for this phase in the cycle. Okay, now on to some bullish factors. I don't want to downplay all the great news we've experienced, which once again I would put up against any other platform, but there are some breadcrumbs rolling around that could be indicating something even more exciting. I'll start with the council member pipeline. Mance said in a town hall back in September that it was very likely we would have 5 additional council members announced by year-end. Many were disappointed, likely Mance included, that this didn't come to fruition, but he has since made it clear that they are still on their way. What's more, there were many in addition to these 5 that were in the pipeline for 2021. Great stuff, but the next 2 items have me even more excited. First, the hints indicating that PayPal may have involvement with Hedera. Obviously, this is exciting because the payments giant entrance into the crypto market is likely the largest driver of the current bull market, But on to the breadcrumbs. We have Brett McDowell, the executive director of Hedera's governing council and former senior manager at PayPal, who may have some connections. I'm sure early introductions between these two enterprises were not very difficult. The next clue we have thanks to some detective work by community members in HBAR Price Chat. It was noticed that the head of PayPal blockchain strategy, Jonathan Padilla, was liking every Hedera post made on LinkedIn. Some might think that this is just coincidence, or being the head of PayPal blockchain, Jonathan might like all crypto platform posts. But when I combed through the numbers, a special affinity for Hedera emerged. Over the past several months, in all the LinkedIn posts Jonathan has liked, Ethereum was mentioned 16 times, Polkadot twice, XRP once, and Chainlink and Litecoin didn't even get a single mention. Compare that to Hedera getting mentioned 27 times. Now that's pretty compelling evidence, and having a fan of the head of blockchain strategy at PayPal certainly doesn't hurt. My ears also perked up when in one of the town halls, Mance, quite directly, corrected Lehman when Lehman mentioned that they would be adding exchanges in the future. Mance corrected, saying on-ramps. We will be adding on-ramps. I thought this was odd considering there are only two major on-ramps that I can think of that aren't exchanges, Fidelity and PayPal. Finally, we have Mance's latest video, where out of the blue he tells us the tech titans are going to leave their mark on the crypto industry in 2021. Important players of the past will become less important, and that one of the major themes would likely be PayPal versus Libra in 2021. All bombshells when you look at it through the lens that Mance is probably looking through. This is speculation, but I think Hedera has to do with every one of these predictions. I also thought it was strange to consider PayPal a competitor to Libra when PayPal, at least as it pertains to the crypto world, is an on-ramp, and Libra is planning a stablecoin and a payments network. As mentioned, I believe the single largest factor in this crypto bull is the entrance of PayPal into the space, so even the potential of involvement can't be overstated. I'd be remiss not to mention the latest bombshell in the crypto world, the lawsuit brought by the SEC against Ripple claiming that the XRP token is a security, and that past and current sales of XRP were in violation of securities law. In looking at the case against Ripple, there are some similarities, but also some key differences between Ripple and Hedera. Here are some of the differences that come to mind. First, Hedera likely hasn't participated in market manipulation via market makers to artificially boost the price of HBAR. Second, barring the HBAR sales to pay for the taxes required for Hedera employee distributions, all sales of HBAR to the public have been sold under SAFT contracts that made every attempt to meet both SEC and CFTC regulations. This is not an admission that the HBAR is a security. Like all securities contracts, such as a corporate bond for example, the contract itself is a security, but the currency it is paid in is not. So in the case of a corporate bond, the bond contract is a security, but the currency the debt is paid in, like the US dollar, is not. The same goes for the simple agreement for future tokens. The SAFT is a security, but the currency it is paid in, the HBAR, is not. Third, and most importantly, I believe Hedera kept the SEC and regulators fully apprised of their plans in regards to Hedera prior to taking any action. I think Hedera took advice from regulators and made modifications where required to stay within the regulatory bounds. I also think the case for HBAR as a utility is stronger and the governing entity is far more decentralized. Hedera has always claimed that they would remain ultra-conservative when it comes to regulatory compliance. That may pay off significantly in the near future. That said, I would also like to convey my sincere sympathy to the XRP army. My hope is that options are offered to Ripple to rectify their missteps, if the court determines there were any, and allow XRP to meet its potential for its investors. For Hedera and the rest of the crypto space, I hope we find the necessary regulatory clarity to allow maximum innovation in the United States while protecting investors and preventing fraud. Thanks for stopping by for this quick update. We will have our first council member representative from DLA Piper on Hedera Forum, as well as several other exciting guests in the months to come. Here's to a bright future in 2021.